kwa sababu hawakuchagua mtu ya UDA.
Tonight on EBN Weekend Edition, church service turns chaotic as Gachagua accuses Ruto, Sakaja of a church attack and political intimidation. Nairobi County has emerged the leading hotspot for new HIV infections in Kenya, according to the latest data released by the National Syndemic Disease Control Council.
Tunampa notice Kalonzo Musyoka, tunamwambia now we are launching a revolution. Lazima sasa uondoke. Ukae chini, umefanya kazi miaka yote, sasa utatuondokea sisi na wengine, tuendeleze siasa za maendeleo Ukambani.
Labour Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua urges Kalonzo to quit politics, accusing him of failing to deliver development to the Ukambani region.
And I want to congratulate all of them, from all the political parties and all the political formations. There is no leader who is elected by default or by chance. It is God who determines leadership. Therefore, and to welcome them into leadership so that we can take our country to the next level.
No leader is elected by default. President William Ruto congratulates by-election winners and calls for prayers. Alright, we're live across our social media platforms, that is on Facebook and as well as on YouTube, and you can as well send us your feedback through our SMS line, that is 23059. Now let's get this show started. And the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has accused President William Ruto and Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja of orchestrating a violent incident that disrupted a church service, alleging the use of hired guns and excessive force to intimidate congregants. Speaking after the incident, Gachagua claimed that groups of suspected goons invaded the church, hurling stones and causing chaos among worshippers. He further alleged that police officers failed to intervene during the attack and instead deployed tear gas outside the church compound to disperse crowds. And according to Gachagua, tear gas was later lobbed inside the church, which he said was occupied by women and children, escalating the situation and causing panic. The former deputy president strongly condemned what he described as the use of intimidation and violence to disrupt religious gatherings, arguing that such actions only deepen public resentment against the government.
Tumefika pahali katika Jamhuri ya Kenya ambayo William Ruto anataka kulazimisha sisi kuunga yeye mkono kwa nguvu. Ametuma wahuni na polisi ati wapige watu wa Kariobangi North kwa sababu hawakuchagua mtu ya UDA. Hakuna shida. What I can tell you, William Ruto, let me give you free advice. You are radicalizing the Kikuyu nation. And that is exactly the mistake mkoloni alifanya. Vile alipiga hii watu ya jamii hii, ndio walimkataa zaidi. Kila siku ukipanga wahuni kupiga viongozi, kupiga wananchi, ndio hii jamii na kuchukia zaidi kuliko vile imekuchukia. Na yule anakushauri amekupoteza. Ati wewe ukifikiria ati hii jamii utaihangaisha, utaipiga, ati ndio ikukubali, ni wakati wako unapoteza. Na mimi nikuambie gavana, wafuasi wangu walikupigia kura. Bora unatumiwa na Ruto kutuma wahuni kuhangaisha watu ya jamii yangu. Why? These people voted for you. You have turned against them. Sasa Ruto anakutuma na mihuni upige hii jamii ati kwa sababu hataki mambo yako. You cannot get the support of this community by force. Ukiuliza Ruto Narok atakwambia alijaribu kutumia kifua ati kulazimisha jamii ipigie mtu ya UDA kura wakakataa. Na mimi nataka pia nishukuru watu ya Narok, hasa wa jamii ya walichunga Wakikuyu waende wapige kura. Kwa hivyo uhusiano umeanza wa kisiasa ndani ya DCP between the nation and the mountain. This is just for the beginning. I want to thank the community for protecting the Kikuyu community from harassment in Narok. Na pia nishukuru Wakikuyu wa huko kwa kuwa na ujasiri na kukataa kuuziwa uoga.
Now, Nairobi County has emerged as the leading hotspot for the new HIV infections in Kenya, according to the latest data released by the National Endemic Disease Control Council. The report shows that in the past year alone, Nairobi recorded more than 3,000 new HIV infections out of 19,991 cases reported nationwide. This marks a worrying increase in the new infections across the country, which rose by 19% from 16,752 cases in the previous year to nearly 20,000. Now, data from the council indicates that nearly half of all new HIV infections are concentrated in just 8 counties. These include Nairobi, Migori, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Busia, Siaya, Kakamega and Nakuru, highlighting persistent regional disparities in HIV transmission. The report further reveals that young people between the ages of 15 and 34 remains the most affected group, accounting for majority of new infections. Now, health experts warn that this trend underscores the need for targeted prevention strategies focusing on youth, including awareness campaigns, testing and access to treatment. In addition, the rising infections, the council reported an increase in AIDS-related deaths, including climbed to 21,007 during the same reporting period. Right, at the same time, Prime Cabinet Secretary, that is Musalia Mudavadi, has called on Kenyans to intensify efforts in fight against HIV and AIDS, describing it as a critical national duty requiring both commitment and substantial investment. Now, speaking on behalf of President William Ruto at the 2025 World AIDS Day commemoration held at Nyayo Stadium, PCS Mudavadi highlighted the challenges posed by the epidemic while acknowledging the progress Kenya has made over the past 4 decades. Mudavadi noted that 1.3 million people are currently living with HIV in Kenya, with the nation requiring 30 billion Kenya shillings to secure essential commodities for prevention, care and long-term management. The Cabinet Secretary praised the country's achievements, reporting that 87% of people living with HIV are now on antiretroviral treatment, that is ART, while coverage of the prevention of mother-to-child transmission has reached 90.1%. These measures, he said, have contributed to healthier lives and the birth of HIV-free newborns.
Fellow Kenyans, unless we mitigate its effects, HIV and AIDS will continue to have a wide socioeconomic impact that threatens development, progress in Kenya. This is particularly so because it affects the most productive and energetic, people aged between 15 and 49 years. Employees, both in the public and private sector, are affected. In view of this, the Kenya government, through the National Endemic Diseases Control Council, has developed strategies and facilitated the right environment that allows multi-sectoral interventions and promotes public-private partnerships in addressing HIV and other endemic diseases. I would like to assure you of the commitment of the Kenya government to ensuring access to comprehensive prevention, care, and treatment services to all. The government has worked with different development partners and stakeholders to reduce the burden of treatment by providing antiretroviral drugs to eligible persons living with HIV. Though the cost of HIV treatment has substantially reduced, many people still lack access to the life-saving drugs. The government is doing its best to ensure that access to antiretroviral treatment is enhanced. This is a big challenge. We cannot afford to let it go because the resurgence is worrying, the resurgence is aggressive, and the resurgence needs to be checked before it finishes our young generation. The data that we have had from 16,000, I think 3 years or so ago, to 19,000 young almost 20,000 cases. It was 19,900 and something. New cases of the young perishing because of the resurgence of AIDS is something for us to worry about. And
one key issue that we are getting in the report about children is parental neglect, and we are receiving cases of about 70% of all cases reported about children are issues of parental neglect.
All right, quite a worrying trend right there. Moving on, Public Service Cabinet Secretary, that is Geoffrey Ruku, has accused former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua of using guns to interfere with this and subvert the final results of the recently concluded polls, that is in Mbeere North. Now, speaking on Saturday at Suneka Catholic Church in Kisii County, where he attended a Catholic Women Funds Drive, Ruku claimed that the alleged actions were aimed at destabilizing the electoral process. He warned against what he termed as divisive politics, saying the country is not ready for leaders who seek to divide Kenyans along ethnic lines. The Cabinet Secretary urged Kenyans to reject politics of division and instead focus on unity and national cohesion, emphasizing the peaceful political engagement in key to the country's stability and development. Now, during the same event, East African Community Principal Secretary Dr. Caroline Karungu called on Kenyans to support the Kenya Kwanza government, particularly its flagship development projects initiated under President William Ruto's administration.
Na msijali maneno ya Mbeere. DCP haikuwa na candidate Mbeere. DCP ilikuwa na candidate Kariobangi North, tukashinda. Narok Town tukashinda. Kiza East tukashinda. Purko tukashindwa kidogo na Magarini. Chama ambaye ni ya mwezi 7 imechukua viti 3 out of 5. Nimeona maanalisti ya magazeti wakifanya mambo mingi, hawaongei mambo ya ushindi ya Nairobi, hawaongei mambo ya Narok, hawaongei mambo ya Kisa, wanaongea mambo ya Mbeere. Mbeere mimi nilienda kusaidia DP na wakashinda, wakaibiwa na ni sawa. Lakini sisi
wamepata jawabu. Jawabu majibu. Wamepata jibu. Pale wameambiwa kwamba watu wamepokea ili ambao wanataka sio kabila, sio kujipiga kifua, wanataka maendeleo.
Ukichunga kina mama, hata na sitaki kusema kina baba wetu sio wazuri, lakini hii ndio ground. Ukichunga wakina mama, hakikisha ya kwamba wako na maji, barabara zinawafikia kwa nyumba, mazao yao ya shamba inafika kwa soko. Hapa hatutakuwa tunasema tam, tutasema tam mingi zaidi. Ama vipi?
Alright, still on matters politics, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has praised the outcome of the recently concluded by-elections, saying the results reflect growing public support for his political outfit, the Democracy for Citizens Party, having been in place for just 7 months. Now, speaking during a Thanksgiving service held at PCA Kariobangi, Gachagua said the DCP had performed strongly by clinching 3 out of 5 seats it contested. Now, he described the outcome as an encouraging sign and urged Kenyans to continue backing the party, which he said stands for people-centered leadership and accountable governance. Gachagua, however, clarified the DCP did not field a candidate in the Mbeere North by-election. Instead, he noted that the party only rallied support for Democratic Party candidate in the constituency.
Na msijali maneno ya Mbeere. DCP haikuwa na candidate Mbeere. DCP ilikuwa na candidate Kariobangi North, tukashinda. Narok Town tukashinda. Kiza East tukashinda. Purko tukashindwa kidogo na Magarini. Chama ambaye ni ya mwezi 7 imechukua viti 3 out of 5. Nimeona maanalisti ya magazeti wakifanya mambo mingi, hawaongei mambo ya ushindi ya Nairobi, hawaongei mambo ya Narok, hawaongei mambo ya Kisa, wanaongea mambo ya Mbeere. Mbeere mimi nilienda kusaidia DP na wakashinda, wakaibiwa na ni sawa. Lakini sisi we focus on our party, the DCP. Na hapa Nairobi tunataka sasa DCP ivume. Huu ushindi wa Kariobangi North ndio chanzo ya safari ya DCP katika Nairobi. Hapa Kariobangi tulishinda UDA, walikuwa namba 4. Narok tulishinda UDA. Kisa East tulishinda UDA na ODM. Hiyo waongei. Na niseme hapa Nairobi, wale wafuasi walikuwa wa UDA, wale walipigia William Ruto, hawakuwa wafuasi wa William Ruto, walikuwa wafuasi wa Rigiji. Na Rigiji ameondoka na hiyo wafuasi wao. Mimi niseme watu ya Kariobangi, asanteni sana. DCP is a party for Nairobi, na hii ndio chanzo ya siasa yetu hapa Nairobi. Na sisi tumepangana vizuri na kiongozi wa Wiper ambaye ndiye amekuwa akisaidia ODM hapa Nairobi. Tumekubaliana kiti cha gavana kitachukuliwa na DCP. Kiti cha seneta kitachukuliwa na DCP. Kiti cha women rep kitachukuliwa na DCP. Tumekubaliana na Wiper kati ya viti 17 kati ya DCP na Wiper tutachukua viti 16. Na kati ya viti 85 ya ward between DCP and Wiper tutachukua 75. Kwa hivyo usitishwe, musiangaishwe, muvumilie.
Right, moving on, Senate Majority Leader and Kericho Senator Aaron Cheruiyot has sharply criticized Kenya's opposition leaders, including Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, and the broader united opposition, urging them to develop a coherent plan instead of engaging in divisive politics. Now, speaking during a public event, Cheruiyot described the opposition as what he termed as useless and called on citizens to reject political rivalries that undermine national cohesion. Now, the senator lauded the outcomes of the recently concluded by-election, emphasizing that the results reflect the electorate desire for stability and progress. He appealed on Kenyans to focus on development and unity, highlighting the need for leaders and citizens alike to prioritize national interest over partisan conflicts. Take a look.
Ukiona hii watu ya opposition speaker, hata mimi nimeshangaa. For the first time we have the most useless opposition in the history of the Republic of Kenya. Hata wewe umewahi kuwa opposition, but when you are in opposition you used to sell a credible message. You used to behave like an alternative government. Unakosoa serikali lakini kwa njia ya akili. Hao wa sasa kama vile wananchi wao wanaambia rais siku hizi, hata akili kweli hawana vile inasemekana. Sababu mtu ukiangalia, mtu anajipiga kifua anasema oh sijui shika kona hii ama kona ile. Uchaguzi sasa imetokea. Chama yetu ya UDA imepata ushindi kila kona. Sio Banisa kule Northeastern, sio Malava Western, sio inaitwa nini ile ingine, Baringo, wapi, kila kona. Mimi ningewaambia wajipange pengine 2032, lakini hata 2032 Weta ameshajipanga na anapanga maneno, pengine mjaribu siku ingine. Na sidhani vile maneno inaenda, nyinyi mambo yenu imeharibika kabisa. Kwa hivyo mimi nafurahia. I want to tell the people of Kenya, thank you, because you showed that you prefer leaders who have solution to leaders who are just filled with gossip, hate and nothing to develop our country. Nitakuwa tu nimekosa sana speaker nisipofurahia hata mimi ile maneno ambayo iliendelea juzi. Unajua kuna watu walikuwa wamezunguka Kenya na maneno mingi. Tunawaambia tafadhalini, tulizeni. Hii Kenya ni kubwa. Wanaongea oh sijui nini. Tuliwaambia mtafute sera ya kuambia mwananchi. Mnazunguka na fitina ya one term na Kasongo. Sasa mmepatana na kiboko. Mimi nataka niwaambie mambo bado. Ile kiboko inawangojea hapa, mtarudi kulia kwa manyumba na mabibi yenu peke yake. Wakenya wataki hiyo mchezo yenu. Wakenya wataki siasa ya fitina na chuki. Unaona mwingine amekuwa akitupigia kifua anasema oh, mlima iko kwa mfuko yangu. Juzi kura imepatikana kwa constituency moja peke yake. Amezunguka huko, ameingia mpaka kwa boma ya kila mtu anakamua ng'ombe akiomba kura. Lakini bado hakuna kitu alipata. Aliona vumbi. Sasa kama unatoa jasho kwa constituency moja wewe mzee, na siku ile itakuwa constituency zote, hiyo tumbo yako itaisha na hakuna kura utaona. Wananchi hawataki hii siasa ya fitina na chuki.
Still on matters politics, Machakos Deputy Governor Francis Mongagi has condemned the violence witnessed in parts of the country during the recently concluded by-elections, urging authorities to take decisive action to prevent a repeat in future polls. Now, speaking in Kua Catholic Church, that is in Yata constituency, Mongagi likened the unrest to alleged involvement of government operatives, emphasizing that such actions undermine the democratic process and threaten national stability. He warned that failure to address and contain campaign-related violence could have dangerous repercussions ahead of the 2027 general elections, urging political actors and security agencies to enforce law and order. Now, the deputy governor called for peaceful participation in politics and for all stakeholders to uphold the principles of free, fair, and safe elections.
Very unfortunate. As much as we want peace, let the other side also know we have a country to protect. Now that country, it cannot be, it is the united opposition to take care of that. No. Hiyo tunakataa. Na tunasema, tunataka usalama. Na tunataka Kenya kwanza iendeze. President of a country is a symbol of unity. Lakini yale mambo tunaona kwa saa hii Kenya kwanza hii na hii UDA hii, inaenda kutumbukiza nchi hii kwa mambo ambayo haieleweki.
Right now, President William Ruto has congratulated leaders from across political parties who elected during Thursday's by-elections. Now, speaking at an AIC church service in Nairobi, the head of state urged citizens to pray for the newly elected leaders, emphasizing the importance of divine guidance and wisdom in their public service. President William Ruto highlighted that prayers would help leaders to make decisions that are in the best interest of their constituencies and promote unity and development. The president also encouraged the public to support the elected officials in fulfilling their mandates for the betterment of the nation.
I want to thank God that this week we had elections of leaders in different categories. We want to thank God that that exercise is concluded. We have additional leaders who are coming to join us, those of us who are privileged to be in leadership. Please pray for those who have been elected. Pray for those of us who are serving so that we can discover the will of God for our nation and the purposes of God for our leadership, and so that together with those who are being elected, we can forge ahead and do the will of God for our nation. Continue to pray, and I want to congratulate all of them from all the political parties and all the political formations. There is no leader who is elected by default or by chance. It is God who determines leadership. Therefore, and to welcome them into leadership so that we can take our country to the next level. I want to encourage all of us to see the future of our country. I have great confidence in the future of Kenya. I have seen what God can do. 3 years ago, we were struggling with the economy, we were struggling with education. Our health system was not quite together. Our economy was not doing very well. But God has healed our economy. He has changed things for us. Day before yesterday, when I was launching the biggest road stretch of 175 kilometers, that's going to unlock the potential of half of our country, I was very proud that finally God is opening spaces for Kenya. We will be doing another 4 or 5 or 6 of those major infrastructure in the coming year, and many of the other things that we have laid out to do. I am asking you as members of my local church and as Christians to pray for the plans we have for Kenya so that God can make the difference in Kenya. I am very confident. I have no doubt in my mind that it is possible to move Kenya from a third world country to a first world country before I die.
Now, Labour Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua has urged Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka to step aside from politics, accusing him of failing to deliver development to the Ukambani region. Speaking in Malindi during a fundraising event alongside Kilifi Governor Gideon Mung'aro, Mutua said that the region has continued to lag behind due to its prolonged stance in opposition politics. He called on the united opposition to abandon divisive politics and is said rally behind President William Ruto to implement his development agenda ahead of the 2027 general elections. Governor Mung'aro echoed Mutua's sentiments, pointing to the recent Orange Democratic Movement victory in the Magarini by-election as a signal of what could unfold in the 2027 polls. Both leaders emphasized the importance of prioritizing development over political rivalry to ensure progress in the region.
Mzee mwingine akaanza kusingizia ndio gavana anaonana sio na nani wapi. Nataka nimwambie mzee wa DCP. Anasema anasikizanga ground. Anasikiza ground ya Kilifi, asikize vizuri. Ajua hata 2027 hakuna kura yake hapa. Si Kilifi peke yake kwani. Na sisi tuko broad base tunafanya kazi hapo kama vile baba alipotuacha. Tuendelea kushirikiana sababu tuko kwa serikali ya broad base, tuko na mawaziri watano kwa chama yetu wa broad base wako.
Kutoka pale Mwingi mpaka kwa Usekuru. Yeye amekaa miaka 40 hata hajajenga barabara mpaka kwao. Hajaweka stima kwao. Hakuna maji kwao. Kwa sababu siasa yake ni umaskini. Na sisi tunampa notice Kalonzo Musyoka, tunamwambia now we are launching a revolution. Lazima sasa uondoke. Ukae chini, umefanya kazi miaka yote, sasa utatuondokea sisi na wengine tuendeleze siasa za maendeleo Ukambani. Tumechoka na siasa za umaskini.
Right, moving on, President William Ruto has called on young people to stop abusing drugs and other substances, now describing the rising numbers of a serious concern for his administration. Now speaking during the wedding of Moses Budamba Mudavadi and Kilian Deso Saia at the Ulinzi Sports Complex in Langata, President William Ruto urged the youth to sober up, emphasizing that personal discipline is essential to building a stronger and more prosperous nation. The head of state also encouraged young people to settle down, take on family responsibilities and contribute to societal stability, noting that the foundation of a strong nation lies in strong families.
So many people who run away from responsibility. You know, they want to hang around, oh, I like being single, oh. But the point is, they are not courageous. They are not men enough to carry your woman home and tell them, be my wife. I want to encourage the men in this room, be men enough and marry the woman you love, find a family, be responsible.
This is the way. We all pray, we all wish you well. What the young couple has done, showing respect for the parents and everybody, is what we all want from our young people. So we wish you well as you move ahead.
I want to encourage you to uphold prayer in your family. And Kilian, you are the one who is going to hold on to prayer as Moses is the priest of the home. With God, I want to tell you that nothing is impossible.
All right, that is the head of state right there, you know, urging men over 25 years to actually marry and settle down. Right, I don't know what's your take on that. All right, it is the last day of November 2025. That particular story of President William Ruto urging men to marry wraps up our program here on EBN Weekend Edition. My name is Macharia. Many thanks, of course, keeping me company until this particular minute. See you next month, which is December. Do have yourself a lovely night, and as always, let's do this again when God says we do.